about systems earlier. I'm of the opinion this is a particular systems challenge. There are a number of reasons why it occurs. I get to travel across the country to learn from others, and we share what we think we know and experiences, hopefully to come away better and more informed. And I've heard community after community share how they no longer wrestle with these types of challenges, that their communities are mobile, and so there are no ghettos or no projects of distinction over a long period of time. But every time I scroll back to look at their historic maps, I get back to about the 20s and they show Negro slum. Then I fast forward and come back to the day, and that's where their African American impoverished community is. It's a different narrative. There's some data that's come back to us recently that has begun to quantify and put some context around the appraisal process. And what it tells us is that homes that are adjacent to Black and brown people are significantly undervalued. I mean, to the query, not anomalies, but to the query. If a home is adjacent to Black and brown communities, it's undervalued, it's discounted. Not terribly surprising, but when you think about real estate being one of the most appreciating asset classes in our country's history, and you think about deed restrictions for African Americans that prevented us from being able to own these homes, not 50 years ago expiring, but deed restrictions that some of which expired 20 years ago or were forced to through legal challenges. It's no surprise that there wasn't an accumulation of wealth over time and appreciating assets of real estate. What do you do is the question. I think you do what Greta said. If the system doesn't have within it the capacity to do what we need it to do, then we must think about changing the system or working outside of it. If the appraisal process is one that would allow an early investor to invest $230,000 over time with a lump sum front-end investment, however borrowed, but an investment, be long the investment, which means they hold it over time, they own the whole thing, and 50 years later, have a fifth of that represented in value, or less than that. We're talking about 230, not the 150 in Lakewood. And so, but then someone else can come in, have an as completed appraisal done, put maybe $30,000 or $40,000 in that property, and as we're seeing on 105 and Wade Park, post that property for $399,000 after buying it for $20,000. How is it that the early investor didn't benefit from the terms and holding the investment? We say that the investment needs to appreciate in value. We're talking about value at $399 and purchasing at $20. And so I think we need to think about adjusting this here appraisal process. I can't find a good reason why the person who owned that property, who invested in improvements in that property for that long of a period of time, who owns the deed free and clear, why can't they get the benefit of selling at today's values? Why can't they get the benefit of assuming the sale would be certain or imminent, $30,000 from the bank or from an organization that maybe is like the industry that I'm in, community development financial institutions, that would allow them then to unlock that $399,000 instead of having to sell at a discount or it's staying in the family as a diminished asset. And so it's what can we do? I think it's unfair and an unreasonable expectation to ask the beneficiaries of these systemic disparities to also be the solution for what they didn't cause and what they didn't architect. Again, I think that's why some of you are in the room who are much smarter than I am. But we can stop pulling the same plays off of the same shelf and the same playbook if we really want to change these outcomes.